We're late for a very important date.
No time to say hello, goodbye.
We're late. And that seems to be the theme this week, because just as the cooling rack were late, so is the washing up.
Yes, but we had an excuse. We had a pool to swim in yesterday.
We had a pool to swim in. I had to dress as the Cookie Monster on the weekend for a party.
I was looking for my dragons as Khaleesi.
Yes, and more importantly, we needed time to genuinely analyse the cooling rack, and it's very hard to do that when, there's no cooling rack.
I know. Disappointed, wake up Wednesday morning going, I'm going to listen to some cooling rack. I realise they haven't made any cooling rack.
It was a bit disappointing, and it was very disappointing on Tuesday night when I was checking up if they were ready, only to be told that no, they weren't, because one couldn't watch without the other. Now, this brings up some bad memories.
Yes, why?
Well, you see, I think it was a few weeks ago where the final of Survivor was on and you were not home.
I was out working.
I know you were out working. This is not a criticism of you.
I know.
Because Mr. Vahoho...
Vitruvian
Vahoho.
Yes.
He decided to... We're getting to Christmas, so we can be Mr. Vahoho.
Okay.
But he decided to criticise me for not watching Bake Off, even though you weren't here, which is the whole reason I wasn't watching it. And then, lo and behold, he's off being fancy and swanning and gadding about the place. And
he, his partner goes, I'm going to wait because I actually enjoy watching Bake Off with my partner here.
Exactly. It's now the upper hand is on the other foot, Mr. Verhoeven.
The foot is on the upper hand.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Mm-hmm. And I mean, look, you were working.
I was working.
And unlike Mr. Verhoeven, who was fancy man.
Ew, he was off watching Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Not just watching it, he was at the premiere. That said, though, my mum, she worked at this bank in the inner city when we were growing up. And we used to get, free tickets to stuff because of the people who banked there. So we'd be going to, premieres for, movies like Bugsy or the, Dances with Wolves and stuff, because this is, the early 90s.
Some of Costner's finest.
Yes, and, my big thrill, Larry Emder, sitting in the seat in front of me.
Ooh, Larry Emder.
I know.
Come on down.
And I was taller than him.
Come on down, indeed. Look, we should probably get on to, the baking, because look, I'm not bragging, because we are, of course, a subsidiary, so to speak, a lesser podcast than the Cooling Rack. But we did have to pick up our Twitter game this week to cover for the fact that they weren't live tweeting.
Yeah, but they didn't ask us to do that.
Yes, but I felt that it was our responsibility. It's a bit like, the Miss America. If Miss America, for any reason, forfeits her crown, first runner-up takes the place. And we are indeed the first runner-up of Australian Bake Off.
So essentially, if they get on a big swan float and it catches fire and...
Much like Little Miss Springfield, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
If she's struck by lightning, her scepter's struck by lightning, like Amber Dempsey, poor Amber, then yes, we have to take over.
Yes.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. So we picked it up, and just to start off the podcast the way I start off the podcast every week.
Yes.
Fiona's jumper game.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it?
It's on song.
Point.
She never gets it wrong.
No.
She never gets it wrong. And of course, those aprons that Mama Sweary Canary crafts.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, they're superb.
And I did like the tweets that we were going back and forth where she suggested she wear a black canary outfit.
I think that would work quite well.
Yeah.
And this comes back as well to, there's a theory we're going to get to towards the end of the podcast as well, where everyone who sits next to Fiona goes home.
She's like the Black Widow canary.
She is indeed. And I think that we'll have to address that as we get later on in this episode.
It's voodoo dolls.
Yeah, I think it's voodoo. I don't think it's coincidence. I think it's voodoo.
Yes.
But we'll come back to that in a minute.
Could also be hoodoo.
Sorry, every time someone says hoodoo, I think hoodoo gurus. And then I think butchering of, classic Australian songs into rugby league anthems. So let's move on.
Okay.
So challenge number 1 was the Swiss roll.
Swiss roll.
Now, this is where voice of the people, Tegan Higginbotham.
Yes.
She hit her stride early in the podcast because, yes, Tegan.
Yes.
We did indeed have those little packet Swiss rolls.
We did.
Now the ones that we had in our household were strawberry, chocolate and vanilla. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, are they the ones you had or?
Yeah, like we'd get the big, usually like the one with the jam, like the strawberry.
Top taste?
Top taste, yes. And this is the thing, right? I now wonder if Paul hasn't had a Swiss roll, does that mean he's never had a trifle? Because I don't know if other people just use normal cake, but my mum always uses a Swiss roll for trifle.
Okay, that's interesting.
So, do other people use normal cake or do they use Swiss rolls?
I'm not that big on trifle. I'm not particularly the expert.
Who are you? Oh, then that's good because I can have more then.
You can have more. You can have more trifle. I'm not anti-trifle. I'm not in the anti-trifle faction. I'm not leading the parade against trifle.
Yeah, but Tegan had it perfect. You know, when your mums are chopping up like the Swiss roll, it was always thicker. Make it thicker. Voice of the people. Voice of the people,
indeed. Unlike Paul, whose response was, "You mean like a Viennetta?" Now, I don't know if that premiere got into Paul's head a little bit. But he was really out of touch with the common man in this episode.
He's like the Malcolm Turnbull of the podcast, isn't he?
He gets the bus every morning.
When the cameras are there.
Yes, and make sure he gets the bus. But no, I just... It wasn't normal Paul. He was very much above it all this week.
Yeah, he really needed Tegan to anchor him.
She brought him down and grounded him, although as we'll get to in a small second, occasionally he did have to bring her back to reality, whatever that construct may be. We'll come back to that though. Now, I felt a little bit the same as they did when watching someone make the Swiss roll.
Yes.
I've never made a Swiss roll in my life.
No, you can buy them from the shop.
Top taste, we've talked about it, the packets.
Yes.
Why do I feel the need to make a Swiss roll? And I must admit, although I don't mind a Swiss roll, I've never found myself in a bakery going, you know what I want today? I think a Swiss roll would be nice. I've never found myself actively seeking a Swiss roll.
No, just buy one.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, there's no other cakes left. I don't really like that one over there. I don't know what that is. That seems to have dates through it, so that's a no. Swiss rolls, yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
Sort of the way I view a Swiss roll. It's the cake you have when you don't really like any of the other cakes.
It's the cake I buy at morning teas when I've just got to have a variety.
Oh yes, I've done that before too. When I've been in charge of cake for a week at morning tea, and my response has been, "What's the cheapest thing?" I know, Swiss roll.
Swiss roll, yes,
beautiful, and it's easy to chop up as well. It is. What's the cake you have when you have to have a cake?
Yes,
you don't really want to give them the good stuff. But I feel like I know how to make one.
Yes.
Through watching Bake Off. So again, as they pointed out with Liesel's Swiss roll, the second that she went, I'm just going to wait. I think we looked at each other and there was just this shaking of heads. You knew where that was going.
You're like, there goes, you want to be, like Star Baker? That's not how you become Star Baker. You must set your roll.
It must be done ahead of time. You can't go last minute. Now I'm going to roll it up and see what happens.
Yes. And, we're not the only ones. Tegan and Paul put this out. Any person who watches any baking shows knows. They see, It's not hard.
No, it's pretty straightforward. Now, I also remembered, by the way, that they were talking about the chocolate coating and Noel's chocolate coating of his Swiss roll. You could buy the ones that had the hardened chocolate on them.
Yes, now I do like Paul's idea. Wanting it like with an ice magic crack. I'm like, I just want to ice magic some Swiss roll now.
But to be fair, you do like ice magicking most things.
I'm a child of the 80s. What can I say?
yes. You do like ice magic, although plain. You're not a big fan of the flavoured ice magic.
You don't mix it up.
See, I don't mind a choc mint. You know this. I don't mind a choc mint ice magic. Yeah. You, on the other hand, leave that bottle to me and just take the normal one.
Because we're adults.
We are adults.
Sophisticated adults.
And to bring it back to something a bit more sophisticate, which is the wrong word, but I don't really care. You're a bit of a bandit for lemon myrtle. Yes. And they mention the lemon myrtle flavours, and I know that was something, they're talking about the Swiss rolls right up the alley. Well,
no, I think it was Tegan wanting Noel's Swiss roll up her alley.
Yeah, so I think for you, that lemon myrtle flavour.
If I was going to have any Swiss roll up my alley, it would have been Liesel's Swiss roll. Okay, she didn't set it, but the flavour had me.
It's bold. That's a bold decision. It's a bold choice. It's a bold announcement. Now, I don't really want to, but
just do it.
I have to revisit a common theme.
I have to revisit
this idea of Tegan not having a past.
Okay.
Now I know. I hear you laughing. I know you're doubting me already.
No, you have the thing.
We've talked about Paris. We've talked about the idea of Paris. We've talked about this. They never seem to really understand what happened in Paris. We put forward they may have been spies at one point. That was a suggestion we put forward. I'm starting to think this podcast is a lot like the movie Memento.
Just reminding Tegan what she's been doing in her
Yeah,
life.
because what happens is she says, I've never had blank, or I've never been to blank.
Yes.
And Paul goes, yes, you have, which is usually followed by Tegan suddenly very proudly and confidently, oh, yes, I have.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I have.
She's like Guy Pearce and he's like the little yellow post-it notes.
So Paul is a little yellow post-it note on the bathroom mirror when he wakes up in the morning.
Yes, all the writing scrawled on her arm.
There we go. You're like the writing scrolled on her arm. That sounds somewhat romantic.
Yes.
It's lovely. It's
poetic.
It's poetic. It is.
Nice.
It's very nice indeed. Although Paul had his own issues this week with memory and reality. You know, he was talking about his book deal.
Yes, I felt for him then. Because he's like, did I deserve this? And yes, it's okay to question yourself. But look, the bloody Kardashians got a book deal.
I once gave my brother The Truth About Diamonds by Nicole Richie. I think if Nicole Richie can have a book deal...
Someone like Paul definitely not only deserves it, but it's a welcome relief.
I think Paul should have a book than the equivalent of War and Peace, to be blunt. Because I think that shows a different level of quality altogether. And
they should just give him as many book deals as George R.R. Martin has.
By the way, what a series.
Yeah.
The Verhoeven Chronicles.
The Verhoeven Chronicles.
Or like, George R.R. Martin, Jeremy Clarkson's series of books, all of which have a car title in the name.
What would his common theme be? Paul's common theme. Places I've been.
Places I've been that I have to remind Tegan about.
Yes. Paris, Volume 1.
There's a lot of blank pages. A lot of blank pages there. But I think that, again, if The Truth About Diamonds exists, which, by the way, is just nothing but pictures. The middle part, I kid you not, the middle part is just pictures of her wearing fancy jewellery.
I'm honestly surprised it didn't have, colouring in and dot to dot.
I think that's the last chapter.
Oh, okay.
It's actually like choose your own adventure, finish a book, not in the Neil Patrick Harris cool way. More in that she couldn't work out how it finished.
I thought it'd be more like those jumbo puzzle books she'd get given as a gift as a kid.
I mean, remembering that I do buy my brother a lot of joke presents, so this was not a real present, by the way. He got something decent as well.
No. Andrew's a big Nicole Richie fan. He just loves reality TV.
He's a big fan of Nicole Richie. Yes, that's what it's all about.
No
one was more crushed when they lost their reality shows than him. Anyway, Bake Off.
That's what
back to Bake Off. Back to Bake Off.
Oh, hold on. On the Swiss roll stuff, before
Yes.
we move on, one thing I was disappointed is that Swiss Miss wasn't there. Yes, I know she's Swedish, but not having Diana there to do a Swiss roll, I'm just like, oh, it would have been so cool.
Well, she even corresponded with you about that on Twitter.
I did tweet it.
She sent you a lovely picture of a Swiss roll, and
that she made.
That goes along with the Wonder Woman.
Oh, her Wonder Woman outfit, amazing, on point.
Chrissy has a bit of a Wonder Woman thing.
A fucking big bit.
We have a massive shelf in our house. It's actually a several layer shelf of just Wonder Woman merchandise and stuff.
If I could have more, I would. And I will.
Well, you do frequently have more, so...
Yes, indeed. But on to Bake Off.
Back to Bake Off, exactly.
Back to the cooling rack, really.
Yes.
This is the thing. We need to... We're the podcast about the cooling rack.
Well, we are refocusing. And as they pointed out, that Monica, of course, challenged the Swiss roll. I foolishly thought that the Swiss roll was the challenge, and maybe she just got those words mixed up.
Yes. And I agree with her comment that the apples are a bit naff. They were right. Olivia got it right with the wallpaper motif.
Olivia gets a lot of things right in Bake Off.
Oh, Olivia's just awesome.
She's wonderful.
She's on point. She's like Fiona's cardigan.
That's what we said. We said last week. They're sort of like one of them's the superhero, one of them's the offsider sidekick, but they can change that up in every challenge.
Yes.
So it's not like one is greater than the other. They sort of swap all the time.
Yes.
And just briefly. We have the last part for the Swiss roll challenge, I think, was when Paul started complaining about Antonio trolling them. Now, first of all, go Antonio.
Woo!
We were with you.
Toot.
We were with you on that. Toot toot indeed.
Yeah. You're not here for it live. You can just get trolled for it.
You can deal with the fact you weren't live. That's your fault.
Yes.
Now, as you know, Paul made reference, of course, to him making his banana stand up, and it is a good thing, Paul, because as you well know, there is always money in the banana stand.
I blew myself.
There is always money in the banana stand. Now, we'll come back to Paul and Antonio a little bit later when we do our segment Antonio Boy Genius. But we need to move on to Neenish tarts because this is. I found Neenish tarts contentious.
Why? They're Neenish tarts.
They're the wrong colour.
Oh.
They're the wrong colour.
You're a pink boy.
Pink and brown.
It's wrong.
Pink and brown.
No.
I will walk away from a cabinet containing Neenish tarts if they're not pink and brown.
Hun, let me explain something to you, because I've seen a little bit of a segment on the origin of Neenish tarts.
Had nothing else to do?
I've seen a little bit of a documentary on the origin of Neenish tarts. Now, I'm pretty vague with dates because I'm not the historian out of the two of us.
Hi, that's me.
But in the olden days, there was a Mrs. Evans, apparently, who created these Neenish tarts. And apparently they were a bit of a spin on a German thing or something or other.
I thought they were named after Nene King, her favourite magazine editor.
Not quite. That was something else. And I think it's somewhere in southern New South Wales. Anyway, she created these Neenish tarts, and the originals are half cocoa and half white.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's genuinely wonderful. Do you want me to run through some of the original medical treatments that we used to put people through? Because we've changed.
Not the same
it's
thing.
exactly the same thing.
It's not
I find a good Neenish tart to be medicinal, and therefore it's exactly the same thing.
Neenish tarts are not like, torture mistaken for
We used to give
medicine.
people a good bleeding.
Yes, but we grew up from that.
Exactly, and we grew up from the original Neenish tarts to add pink
Oh
icing.
my God.
Anyway, I'll move past that.
I'm going to buy you a Bunnings gift voucher so you can buy bridges. You can build bridges, so you can buy all the materials to build bridges.
I'm over it. Not once have I, no, she was lying. About to say not once have I mocked them for getting my name wrong, but
No.
I did call him Mr. for ho, 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 ho.
Exactly.
So we'll move that on and we'll talk instead about the tent. And we'll talk instead about Bake Off and not about my petty little vendettas. And they did discuss on Cooling Rack the help in the tent.
Yes.
I think it's actually getting too close to becoming like team challenges.
It is. We'll just get Sweary Canary's mama Sweary Canary to make matching what's it called?
Matching
Coloured
aprons?
Aprons, yeah. And divide them up into teams. We'll have like that show, what's it? Ready Steady Cook.
You ready, steady cook?
Ready Steady Bake. And
But you can't call them, capsicum and tomato though. You can't do that.
you could call them something like, I don't know, flour and cocoa. Because white and brown, the correct colours of a Neenish tart.
No. I think we talked about this before, and I think Neenish tart would be a really good burlesque stage name.
Yes, totes go in there. Or if I was a drag queen.
Your drag queen name is Neenish tart.
Neenish tart.
Hi, I'm a little bit jammy.
Yes.
That wasn't creepy at all.
Check for my jambaloo. I don't know. My innuendos aren't going anywhere.
They're not.
I need to go visit that innuendo forest, the sexual innuendo forest.
Oh, is that in Tasmania?
It is in Tasmania. That's why the greenies get so up in arms. Hands off our sexual innuendos.
I think the sexual innuendo forest is perfect for Tasmania. It just works. It's in the map of Tassie,
It is.
Where else are you going to find a sexual innuendo forest but in the map of Tassie?
I reckon it's a great big bush.
I don't know. Deforestation's taken place in the last few years. Less and less of it. I feel dirty for saying this, but I agree with Paul on his comments on the whole helping each other thing. Mm-hmm. It's a competition. Yeah. And the Tegan's thing of you can't just let them fail. Paul sort of had it right for me because he talked about the fact that in the Great British Bake Off, for example, mm-hmm. you see someone struggling and it's more the sympathetic look. It's the arm around the shoulder. It's the verbal encouragement to keep them going. but you don't suddenly, like, pick up your icing and run over and start icing something for them.
The way I look at it, though, I think it's been overanalyzed, though. I think Tegan and Paul have overanalyzed it. I think, yes, it is a competition, but if you decide to contribute, like volunteer some of your ingredients, and they're accepted by the other party to something, you've relinquished all responsibility. It's not like James ran over there and forced his icing onto Olivia.
But again, we
he didn't sexually assault Olivia with his icing.
But I think the other problem with that, though, is we saw this happen, earlier with Rhubarb Gate. Yeah, and I know that's a slightly different thing, but something that could impact the result that is not something that you did. Now,
but that's different because that was an accident, and in that case, there should have been a bit of judgment around. Okay, her rhubarb was really good, and what did she get? 2nd or 4th place?
Yeah.
And he bombed out anyway, but that was for, like, Jeremy bombed out for completely different reasons.
But part of it was the
consistency
rhubarb.
of the rhubarb. Now, that should have been judged differently.
I think so, but I mean, the other element to this is that everyone is given a time limit, and you're all told you have so long to make this. Otherwise, you could take all week and make it absolutely perfect. Part of the thing with Bake Off is time management. We saw that in Great British Bake Off last year. Yeah. When we saw Flora was making, an entire banquet when she was asked to make 3 scones. Yeah. So make 3 scones. What have you done? Oh, I just decided to make a croquembouche in the background while I'm at it. And then I decided a few macarons to go around the outside and just layer this up.
It's bread week, Fiona.
And what it was, that was the point. And what was the problem for Flora was that Flora was doing way too much and wasn't managing her time, and that's what sent her home. It wasn't that she wasn't a good baker, but you have a time limit, and she wasn't meeting the time limit. Now, for me, the assistance is they're not managing their time effectively.
But the thing is, Paul had a great point. There needs to be more supervision, but you can't lump it on Maggie because Maggie and Matt are sent away at this point. They're sent away from the technical challenge, just as Paul and Mary, Paul and Matt,
you're right.
Maggie. They're all the same people to me. They're sent away. So it's actually Claire and Mel that need to step up. And I love Claire and Mel. And it's not their job to be supervisory. I mean, as much as I fantasize about Mel being a very laconic dominatrix.
That's a whole other podcast, by the way, guys.
That's a whole other podcast.
I think that's after the washing up. That's the drying up.
That's the midnight snack.
No, I just think the timing issues, it's got to be taken more into consideration. I do agree it's not up to Pitbull. It shouldn't be Pitbull's job. It was Bruce Willis this week, wasn't he? It was a bit more Bruce Willis than Pitbull. But yeah, I don't think it's his job to police that, but I think that somebody should be policing that.
Yeah. Maybe they can get Paul in, because what I would pay to hear is Paul heckling Maggie B live. Like, could you imagine it?
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
That is if he's not too busy jet setting around the globe.
Oh, yes.
Now...
They can just Skype him in.
Now, before we continue with the Paul bashing, because I was really going to up it this week because of how late they were. I was going to be really snarky. And
I know.
And then they said they were Bad Friends fans, and they melted my heart.
I know.
They melted my heart. I agree with everything they say. Everything's wonderful. Antonio's the greatest chef in the history of mankind. You just...
See, it melted your heart, and then it freaked me out, because I'm like, I'm an adult, and when you become, old, you get to this point in your life, and you've got your friends, and you might make some new acquaintances and stuff, but when it comes to new friends, you're like, oh, what do I have to do? It's like being married and then going back out to dating, right? You're like, oh, I've got to impress them. What would we do for our friend date with them? Like, how would we entertain?
Oh, there's only one option.
What?
The pie tin.
Oh.
I figure if we keep mentioning the damn pie tin, we're going to get something from it eventually. But that's legitimate, because the pie tin is the most amazing place on earth.
Cool. And then we could go somewhere like Hall of Heroes or something and play some games.
I want to go to one of those video game arcade bars.
Oh my God, the one in Surrey. Is it Surrey Hills? No. There's this one. I did trivia for it a few weeks ago, and they've got some cool pinball machines, like actual proper...
See, the only one I know of that's got that is in Canberra, and that's the one that had a GoldenEye in the window. And I think a GoldenEye tournament would be wonderful.
But we can play GoldenEye here.
We can. I mean, I collect retro consoles.
Yes, you do.
But, I think the bar atmosphere,
Yeah, it'd be nicer. Alcohol, because I'm a friggin' nervous wreck around people.
Yeah.
I'm a bit socially awkward.
But
it's fine.
Having said that, they did ask, at this point in time, the question, is this a good way to record? Live, sort of, watch each challenge and then record.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like them having the whole episode to fill the narrative a bit more.
I like it as a change-up. I like it as a change-up from the... Like, I don't think it should be every week that you do this, but, it's a nice change-up from the usual, knowing what's going on and being able to comment on it. Like, a live kind of... It's like...
So you're saying their reviews, it's a nice change from them knowing what's happening and knowing what's going on, is they don't know what's going on while they're podcasting.
Yeah, because it's like their reality is becoming a podcastness. Does that make sense?
Well, when they came back for the third challenge, I think that was... One of the highlights was when they came back from the third challenge and Noel had gone. That was just the sudden change in reaction to everything was because before that he'd said that Noel frightened him, and we'll get into Noel's leaving at the end, obviously, of this third section. But that sort of changed a little bit. They were a lot more sympathetic to Noel after he went home.
But it's nice because you could actually sit down and rewatch Bake Off while listening to the podcast. And
you're thinking a bit like a Kevin Smith talk salad and scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Live podcasting, watching Frasier.
Which essentially is just Kevin Smith talking about shit.
Saying what he sees.
But, going off these awesome tangents and then maybe mentioning Frasier.
It's a bit like our podcast at the moment, isn't it?
we don't have...
Okay, so what we're doing at the moment, just to remind you, is we're podcasting about a podcast about a TV show, and we're talking about another podcast on that podcast.
That's about a TV show.
Yeah, I can't keep the map. Bombe Alaska, challenge number 3.
Bombe Alaska, yes.
So,
back at the bomb.
Smear.
Oh my God. Voice of the People, Tegan, had it right. Too many mentions of smear. Every time it was mentioned, my cervix just cramped up a little bit. Like, just a little close in there. Just go, ooh, not again.
Although I did like her description of the Nietzsche tart. It's a tart that tries to tell you that God is dead.
God is dead.
Maybe like a Christian crucifix symbol, but with the Ghostbusters like cross and line and circle through it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, or like a
picture. They're better than the Descartes tarts.
It thinks, therefore you eat it.
If it doesn't think, it doesn't exist. That's a problem.
And it doesn't think because
it's an inanimate object.
So I'm actually holding a Descartes tart now.
In your empty hand.
In my empty hand. It doesn't think. It doesn't exist.
That's too meta. I can't. Now we talked about they talked about the volcano, which I loved. I loved the volcano.
It was awesome. His brain just.
It was amazing, and it was wonderful, and it looked spectacular.
But they were right. Maggie, it's not a jungle.
No, it's not a jungle, and I've seen these volcanoes. As a teacher, I've seen these volcanoes before. When I pop over to science faculties and sort of watch them all building it. I mean, the nice part was you could eat this volcano. It wasn't just bicarb soda bursting out of the middle of it.
I know, the amount of warnings science teachers give you, though. Don't eat whatever you're doing. Like,
well, the lazy way to do those now has become the Mentos and Coke thing. That's actually become the lazy way to do it. There are kids who just do the Mentos and Coke.
What, inside a paper mache?
Paper mache volcano, and they just drop a couple of Mentos into a Coke thing and off.
It wasn't that like hardcore before. It was just orange juice and bicarb.
Yeah, but I like the idea of the more traditional. No, this I like the traditional. Nini's tarts I like the modern.
I was about to say.
I know. I saw that look in your face, and I'm like, no, cut that off. Cut that off. I disagreed though that it was an Ian bake.
No,
there was nothing in that was organic.
No, he hadn't foraged any part of it.
Yeah, there was no. I was out foraging for 3 weeks. I sent pigs out for truffles to make this volcano. There was nothing on that. He didn't. There was no. Ian
sourced this lava from a Samoan island.
Ian would have been outside, building the volcano from like a metal frame he just happened to have lying around, with a titanium edge on it. Again, he just happened to be putting together some alloys.
It could have been more like what's his face. It wasn't as. Who was the orange-haired guy from?
Andrew?
It was a little more Andrew than Ian.
It was a bit more structural, yeah.
A bit more structural, but it was too creative for...
It was far too creative for Andrew. It wasn't rigid enough.
And the nuts are in the correct place.
Oh, dear.
Jousting anyone?
Oh, no.
That kind of jousting.
Yeah, let's not continue to spoil.
Okay.
Now, when I was in America, I don't always mention Paris. Dig that Tegan took.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, Tegan, the other thing is that the only other country you ever mention is America. Like, you talked about the trip to America. See Paul's story about the toast sandwich and all that. So I still don't buy that proves you go places. I think that proves that you listen to Paul.
Mm.
That's the only thing I think that proves. Now, you may need to hold me back when we get into our next baker.
Remember, okay.
James.
Okay.
Did I or did I not scream at the television?
You did.
I may have yelled at the television.
I'm surprised it didn't morph through time and go through dimensions and actually reverberate around the shed at that point.
Yeah,
Or if James got a cold chill up his spine, like someone had walked across his grave, you were that malicious.
Okay, now he stole this. Now they vaguely mentioned that it was stolen from a few places.
Yes.
We're not so vague.
No, Teresa Vinton's.
Right, she stole it from Teresa on MasterChef.
Yeah, that was her entry into this year's MasterChef. A beautiful, deconstructed, kind of splattered ice cream
cone.
Ice cream cone.
It was wonderful.
It's beautiful.
And then the bit that made me yell was when he walked up and presented it and went, oops, I dropped the Bombe Alaska. Now... Massimo Bottura. Now, the one thing, as you said to me before, what does this prove about James?
He has a Netflix subscription.
He has a Netflix subscription, it's hard to say. Because Chef's Table, one of the best shows on Netflix, Massimo Bottura, episode number 1, talks about, oops, I dropped the lemon tart.
I mean, I want to name my firstborn son Massimo.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite episodes of any show we've ever watched, I think. Yeah. And... it was clearly stolen from Teresa's idea of the dropped cone and Massimo's oops, we dropped the lemon tart. Now, I know it's in trend in other places, but it was quite clear they were the two areas he'd stolen this from.
I'm surprised during pastry week he didn't make a croquembouche and call it something like, I'm trying to think of
Taro sugar?
Taro sugar or... No, something that's famously named and I can't think
Columbaris Tower?
Columbaris Tower.
He could have just called it the Columbaris Tower. And I'm surprised...
I'm sure that's what George tells his wife. After a hard day working at the...
Come and look at the Columbaris Tower. Is it more or less famous than the Perth Tower? For James, I mean, it's important that he understands this. And it was...
Hellenic Republic, that's what I was thinking of. No, what is that place he works at?
Yeah, Hellenic Republic.
Yeah, but no, the one in Canberra. The
Press Club?
Press Club, that's what I'm thinking of.
And on the same sort of thing, that was stolen. And then Maggie she's been on MasterChef.
Yeah, she has.
She's seen them make ice cream.
Matt's been on MasterChef.
They've seen them make ice cream using, dry ice.
And Paul and Tegan had it perfectly. Ooh, what do you call this? Iced cream?
N2 gelato.
They expressed my rage. I'm sitting in the car listening to these guys when, 6 years after the episode.
6 years after the episode.
And it finally
remembering back to the day when it was on.
Telling my grandkids about this episode. And I'm there nodding my head. If I was just emphatically nodding my head and going, yes, in fact, I think the car next to me thought I was a little bit insane. But...
that was because of the episode?
But that was because of the episode. And Tegan and Paul just,
Now...
voicing what we're all thinking.
We sort of threw Noel under a bus a little bit at this point in time.
Well, Paul said it before. It's kill your darlings.
Yeah, and more importantly, I wanted sort of our darling to be saved because poor sweary canary.
Oh, yeah.
It looked incredible. It looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, once it started getting all melty, it was.
Watermelon.
We both just started. I tweeted it. We were yelling it. Look, I love you, Noel, but you've got to go.
Yeah.
anyone needs to go. Somebody drop their Bombe Alaska quickly. Not in the James, oh, look, it's kooky and creepy kind of way. Someone actually drop their Bombe Alaska and just have it break and go home. Because I don't want Sweary Canary to go.
No.
I'm not ready.
And I felt though, because the idea of a watermelon cake's really cool. My mum makes a watermelon cake, but she literally takes a watermelon and makes a cake out of it because my stepdad's diabetic. So she makes it look like a cake.
And see, I tried to make a watermelon cake.
You did
as a comeback, I was actually making a cake shaped like a watermelon with green fondant icing. And that was the day that the oven blew up.
That's right.
Mid-bake. And so I just ended up with this sort of, the outside was cooked and delicious and the inside was a puddle.
The inside kind of had this, like, reminded me of...
A Bombe Alaska almost.
Bombe Alaska, yes.
It was like a weird Bombe Alaska. Now, we need to get to our favourite segment of the week.
Oh, yes.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
And you get one go at this. It's time for Antonio... Boy Genius. We've got to start from the right point at the same time. We'll work that out next week. Right. We'll sync it up. His Bombe Alaska was the bomb.
It was the bomb.
You know, it was the bomb. It was amazing. It was brilliant.
It was the antithesis to Noel's Bombe Alaska. Basic bitch Bombe Alaska that made me snort through my nose.
Yes, we'll come back to the cursed basic bitch Bombe Alaska.
Yes.
And just quickly on Antonio, though, the Olivia line of 16-year-old boys aren't meant to make me feel this way. Now, Antonio, when I tweeted out that was the line of the night, Antonio responded, "Is it possible that I can do more than bake?" and
we can't respond to that. He's 16.
It's just smooth.
It's smooth.
Toot toot.
Oh yeah.
Toot toot, Antonio.
Instead of making a lot of either ladies or gents or whatever his preferred.
Whatever you are, they're going to be very happy.
Yes.
And everyone's on board the Antonio Express.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone's on board the Antonio Express.
It's a smooth ride.
It's a very smooth ride. Yes, we've worked that out.
Just imagining that Barry White is going to be like saying stuff over the speaker on the Antonio Express.
So Barry White is in charge of the Antonio
Express.
Oh baby. Now, from the smoothness of Antonio.
Yes.
To the cursed basic bitch Bombe Alaska that was Noel.
Oh, dear God.
Now, Tegan, I hope you've copywritten that, because if you haven't, I expect that Noel should start selling those, just like those Maggie Beer ice creams. He just starts marketing little mini cursed basic bitch Bombe Alaskas.
Oh, he has like a little boutique market stall.
He's like, there's the Lions Club, and there's you know the little scones being made there by the women's
Christmas
association
being sold.
The Lions Club Christmas puddings, and there's Noel calling out, "Curse basic bitch Bombe Alaska!" Oh, now I did love Noel, and now the fact that he didn't grow and adapt, except for Paul.
Yes.
Now the fact that he didn't grow and adapt, I think it either means that he's not a robot.
His time.
It's not a robot.
I know.
Or he was using old operating software.
Look, the upside to Noel going is that we know now that Paul's fears of him being the
champion
Cyberman is unfounded.
Yeah, clearly Noel is not a Cyberman because
To delete Great Australian.
He was deleted beforehand.
Yes.
Now, my only positive note on Noel going home, well, the two. One was that it saved Sweary Canary, and fuck yeah.
Fuck Fiona.
But secondly, and far more importantly, I've been promoting this idea for a while that Noel and Val from the Great British Bake Off need a show.
Yes.
And it's going to be them touring around different countrysides and sort of looking at bakes, listening to them. In fact, that's the title of the show.
The Bake Listeners?
No. It's going to be, we're going to get the rights from Roxette, and the theme is going to be, "Listen to your bakes.
Take a listen
when they're calling for you." And we're going to do that. And I think that'd be wonderful. And it'd be great. They can start in Sweden maybe as a trade-off.
Oh, nice.
Swedish bakes.
And they have to cook for, what are the singers from Roxette?
Yeah, they have to cook for Pierre Gessel.
Yes.
They have to cook for him. And he gets to there and judge, the quality of their bakes. They're just listening to them. I think that's a wonderful show.
Oh,
and the randomness. I mean, it might have to be rated R.
Oh,
you may not even be a PG or an M. It may be an R rating because Noel just
with his sexual innuendo forest, just taking it out to the world.
Exactly. Now, at the very end, they sort of mooted where they think the final three are going.
Okay. Yes.
Now, we haven't actually discussed this. Mm-hmm. We pondered it, and I said start thinking about it because I want to actually go a step further than Paul. I want to try to predict the three.
Ooh, trifecta.
I know, I'm going for the trifecta here. Now, it's difficult. It's really difficult. Mm-hmm. I think we all agree that Antonio's probably there, unless something dramatic happens like puberty. But, I'm sorry, Antonio, I love you. That line was there. But I just want to hear of suddenly a voice breaks and it gets a bit deeper and he can't cook anymore. It's like
Homer Simpson.
Yeah, Homer Simpson was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful singer, and then his voice broke. Well, Antonio suddenly loses the ability to bake.
Is that what happens to men? Like, you have these, like, genius things as a child, and as soon as, like, your testicles descend or whatever it is.
Whatever it is
to make them break.
You did a nursing degree. You should know this.
Didn't discuss baby testicles.
I hope not. Anyway, my prediction for the last three.
Yes.
Antonio.
Uh-huh.
Olivia.
Yes.
And Fiona.
Ooh.
Now, the reason I'm saying Fiona makes it, and I know there's been many Sweary Canary disasters, hence the nickname Sweary Canary, is that her ideas are incredible.
Yes.
They are unbelievable.
And her execution's quite good.
If any of these concepts stick,
yes,
she's there.
Well, Teagues and Paul were discussing her presentation skills, and they're absolutely right. You can tell a Fiona dessert.
Oh, you can indeed.
You know that she has these beautiful little pieces to it. She's modern, but she makes difficult look simple.
Now, for me,
yes,
I think Liesl just misses out. I have Liesl as 4, and the reason is, and again, it's a bit of the Flora syndrome. Flora came fourth because she got her timings wrong consistently.
Yes.
Liesl's timings are out.
Yeah.
And I think that's possibly going to do Liesl in. Also an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
They keep on saying there's no one really that you want to be sending home at this point. It's a bit kill your darlings.
Probably James.
I want James to go home.
He's not quite there.
I think a large part of this is my hatred of him stealing Massimo's idea and Teresa's idea, because we love Teresa too.
Yeah.
But
Do you think it's also Foxtel having to take out the reference to Netflix?
No, I don't think they've had to take it out because they left him in there saying it.
Yes, but out of context. Like, if you knew it, you knew it. But if you didn't, you didn't.
It's a bold statement you just made then.
Yeah.
If you knew it, you knew it. If you didn't, you didn't.
Oh, God, it's like Paul Hollywood. This could be...
It could be good or it could be disastrous.
Yes.
Now, who's your 3? Are you going to make a prediction?
My prediction... I'm going to be... It's horrible because my prediction is exactly like yours. Is Liesl just misses out. Olivia...
Monica will push too, but...
I think Monica's lost her stride, and if she gets back into her stride this week, she could be a contender. And it could be very dangerous, particularly for, like, Sweary Canary as well, who's also finding, letting her genius come out at the moment. But Antonio, you can guarantee he's in top 3, unless there is, I don't know, like, friggin'
random school exams he has to attend? Or?
Yes, exactly. He's HSC or VCE or whatever they do, he will do.
One of those, yes.
One of those, or he's, like, accepted. Or, like, some, like, famous person takes him on as a apprentice or something.
You mean, like, maybe Paul Verhoeven?
Well, Paul wouldn't take him on as an apprentice, but he could certainly take him on as a intern.
We're giving him ideas here.
Yeah.
Someone needs to manage the Verhoeven empire.
Paul needs to... Yeah, exactly. Paul needs to take Antonio as an intern. One, it's because then they can live out their Peppy and Homer Simpson lifestyle. But... Secondly,
their podcast can be on time.
Exactly.
Because Antonio can keep Paul organised and just, day-to-day running.
And bring in the best, treats for them. Like, imagine that. Paul and Tegan are sitting there getting ready, gearing up to do the cooling rack next year. And what's going on? I don't know. Like this beautiful Bombe Alaska just comes and perches itself down between them. Is there anything else I can get for you, Mr. Verhoeven? No, that'll be fine, Antonio. Oh, here's a little Swiss roll I whipped up during the...
Oh, I've never had one of these, Antonio. I'm looking forward to trying it.
Yes.
Why? Because I don't sit in touch with the public.
What do you call this here?
I rise above the public. Anyway, that's enough making fun of Paul for this week. And indeed, I think that's probably enough of the washing up for this week.
Yes.
Any final thoughts before we move on?
Final thoughts. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to seeing where we're going. And I just want to say, don't be late this week. I can't take it.
Yeah, we missed you. We really missed you.
Yes.
I mock out of love. I mock out of,
much the same way you do it to Maggie and
Pitbull.
And Pitbull. We do it to you guys.
Yeah,
because,
and
as you said, we're friends now.
Yeah, and
/ fans.
You said that, so...
So, yeah, it's not us being creepy or anything.
No, not at all. Not projecting anything. Anyway,
no.
That'll be enough for this week, and we will talk to you all later.
Ciao.